This is going to be the second video describing how to graph sine functions with a vertical shift and amplitude. So let's talk about how we do that. So we remember from the last video, the way that we find the amplitude is by taking the number that's right here, the one that's right in front of the sine. So in this case, our amplitude would be 4. In order to find the vertical shift, we look at this number right here. In this case, our vertical shift is -1. We know the maximum value is going to be equal to vertical shift plus the amplitude. In this case, that gives us 3. And we know the minimum value is going to equal the vertical shift minus the amplitude. In this case, that's -5. The period is equal to 2 pi for now, and the x scale is always equal to 2 pi over 4, or the period over 4, which in this case is pi over 2. I'm actually going to write that down here so it doesn't interfere with my graph. So the period ends up being pi over 2, or the x scale ends up being pi over 2. So let's go ahead and graph this. If we remember from the previous video, the first thing we do is we create our scale for the x-axis. So since our scale is pi over 2, I'm going to draw little tick marks here. This one is going to be pi over 2. This one is 2 pi over 2, which is just pi. This one will be 3 pi over 2. And this one will be 2 pi. On this side, same thing. Negative pi over 2. Negative pi. Negative 3 pi over 2. And negative 2 pi. So that's the first thing we do, is the x scale. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on the y scale. Well, we know our y scale needs to be able to go as high as 3 and as low as -5. So I'm going to make those tick marks appropriate. So I'm going to go -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Going up this way would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Make that a little lower. -5. Okay. So as we described before, the next thing we have to do is do these little dotted lines where our max is, where our min is, and where our vertical shift is. So since our max is at 3, I'm going to do a vertical or horizontal dotted line all the way across here. Trying to keep this as horizontal as possible. Actually, you know what? There might be a better way to do this. Okay, so that's much better, so much straighter with that one. So I created a straight line there. Make it dotted when you write it on your paper. This is just much easier for me to do on the computer. And then I'm going to do something similar at -1. So I got a line here going right about through -1. And then I'm also going to do down here at -5. Okay. So now that we have those lines available to us, remember in the last video, think about where does that first point go for sine? Well, the answer is the first sine point always goes in the middle, meaning that it's going to start at your middle line on your y-axis. Now for all points after, we keep moving along the scale and we move in a way that goes middle, top, middle, bottom, middle, top, middle, bottom. For sine, we go up. One way to remember that is you sine up, or you coast down. We'll describe that one in the next video. So I'm going to go up here, and then I've reached the max, so you can't go higher than the max. And then I come back down here, and I just keep following that same pattern. And I can do the same thing on the other side, just following that same smooth pattern. Maybe orange wasn't the best color, might be a little hard to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and connect these lines, and I'm going to do so in a way that you come pretty steeply through the middle. Sorry, that last point should be here. So you're going to come steeply through the middle and then curl at the top. Come down through the middle very, very steeply. Curl at the bottom. Come back up very steeply. Steep, 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 steep. Curl. Hope that's making sense when I say curl. Steep through the middle. Curl at the bottom. And steep there, and always put arrows at the end. And so this would be how you graph y equals 4 sine of x minus 1 using this technique. In the next video, I'm going to discuss how to graph a cosine function.